again, I'm creating a interesting and correct relationship of this the light shape of her. I'm actually right now observing the silhouette. I'm mixing a little bit of the halftone because I still need to refine some of the area because the waist right here, because I feel like I'm not get clear sense of where that waist in between the rib and the hip. So I'm going to come back and kind of refine that. So now I can see here's my rib cage, then here's my, oops. So I got, here's my waist, and then kick into the sacrum. Push that hip, that gluteus split out a little more this way. Again, push your hip out. That means I need to add a little bit of the thigh in here. So it doesn't matter if I paint too light at the beginning, because like I said, once you start blending, in this case I mix the halftone, I start blending in, it's gonna get a little bit darker. Like I said, my focus is gonna be this part of the torso into the hip. Everything above, below is gonna get a little bit, kind of a little bit dark. So I'm gonna start kind of creating that relationships. Since this thigh, upper thigh, is going into the space, that's gonna be darker anyway, and then the calf come out is probably gonna be a little bit lighter. Sculpt this plane, this plane. And that's why I like to use the bright brush, the flat brush, because it allows you to do that. You can't really do that with the filbert because again, it just since the tip is round, it gives you a nice stroke, give you nice shapes. For example, if I want to get a shape in the shadow right here, in that spine, I can use the filbert to create the nice shapes. But in terms of construction wise, I like to use the flat because it helped me to think about boxes a little more. And apparently, you're dealing with a figure, it's not really abstract form. It's not really abstract form, so there's still a certain proportions accuracy has to be in there, and that way, So I'll make sure I, spend maybe most of the setting to make sure the accuracy is there. Then later on, I can put some abstraction over it. I just don't want to do the fun stuff at the beginning, and later my drawing gets off. Then hard for me to come back and fix it. But even though this kind of alla prima technique, I will be showing you guys still very kind of intuitive, more very spontaneous. You paint over, you paint again, you paint over until you find the right tune, right? So in that case, you do need to have a at least somewhat decent drawing skills to able to have that confidence and able to have that to take that risk. And that's why that for the first part and the beginning of the second part, I'm talking about it's drawing issues. I want a nice black, kind of dark value here to separate this two thigh. I want to use it, I think this is a good size, but I already have some white paint on this. In this case, I need to go in to clean with my brush. And now you can see why I have a vinyl glove on my left hand, because this is the hand that I used to squeeze out all this paint. So now you can see why I have a vinyl glove on my left hand side, because this left hand, because this is the hand that I basically squeeze out the paint out of my brush. You can see the paper towel will bleed through. You can see that you got some shininess on the glove. Eventually, like I say, if I don't, those will get into your skin, right? And I don't, whatever. Even though that's you don't smell anything, I'm aware of, but I don't want those stuff get into my skin, get into my body. So I want to have a glove that's kind of at least somewhat have a protections. Okay. Again, I'm constructing the hip. And often, right next to the cast shadow, in this case where the gluteus splits, you can see a strong cast shadow. And often right next to the cast shadow, you will get a stronger light for two reasons. One, because the edges, because cast shadow has hard edge, the edge contrast give you that sense of that strong light. And second of all, right before that cast shadow, you will have a core shadows, right? So let me make that a little more clear. So that's the core shadow. That's where the light break into the shadows, and then next to that, then you got a cast shadow that's created because this hip right here blocking the light coming out this way, perpendicularly coming out this way, and then so what happened is, the part that is blocking by this form right here, that's what creates this hard shadow, the cast shadow. The first chance the light can get by this gluteus, by this hip, is right next to, the edge of the cast shadow. Okay, so So we got highlight, we got light, we got halftone, we got the shadows, and then we got the cast shadows. We got some reflector light in here, okay? So the core shadows you see here are, it's a softer edge. You see here has a softer edges, okay? You can blend it, make it even softer. So light basically coming down like this. All this part of blocking the light is going to create this cast shadow, right? So the first chance the light can get by that sphere is right the edge of the sphere. So where are they going to hit? Bang, right here, right around the cast. Right, so that's exactly pretty much the same idea as her hip. Let me step back, double check. Okay, yeah, I'm also putting an average value for her face. You can see how I just kind of take off some of this the feature I just painted earlier. I'm not afraid to get rid of it because I can come back and paint it. Again, I can come back to dig up this eye socket. So you don't use small brush. For a larger area, use a large brush. Now I think it's time I can put some of the background tone to re-sculpt. So I still want to keep it thin. I have a little touch of the, not pure black, just a little touch of the gray, what I have here. I'm going to keep it thick because I just want like a wash, a thin wash behind. So base of the comp, let's do a little bit more. Stand back. I want to do it around my figure first. See the game saw, don't dip your whole brush in, just a tip, just a little bit. You don't want it too much because like I say, that's mainly for cleaning purpose. You can use it a little bit for just keep, you won't work wetting wet. But idea is, if you look at my palette, that has no clear value. It got this glass palette kind of showing through underneath. So that's, usually that's not where you want your palette to look like. You want it somewhere like solid, like this, give you a clear color, no clear value. Okay, so then when you're adding too much of this Gamsol, it's going to start looking translucent like that. Now what happened is, when we're dealing with more colors, for example, what happened if you need a color that was in here, but then there's no more. So it ends up you have to remix it. And sometimes that can take you out from that zone, or sometimes you can't, it takes you like I said, several steps to try to make the color close to it. Again, like break up your rhythm. So you'd rather have a thicker paint, like have a clear color notes on your palette, you can always go back. And always go back to know exactly where to go. If you want to mix more, you can again, exactly, what color you need to mix to get to that color.